Nobody bid on the white field, not the cattlemen, not the land speculators, not even the county. Then a grease-stained irrigation mechanic named Eli Mercer raised one hand and offered $1,800 for 320 acres that could not grow weeds. The room laughed, because everyone in Red Mesa knew that ground. They called it the Salt Mirror. In summer it shone so bright drivers lowered their sun visors when they passed it. In winter, rain sat on top of it for days, trapped above a clay crust hard enough to ring under a hammer. Nothing had rooted there in 60 years. But Eli was not looking at the surface. He was looking at an old railroad drilling log that said fresh water was moving beneath it. And if that forgotten page was right, the county had just sold him a buried river for less than the price of a used transmission. The tax auction took place in a converted municipal courtroom in Red Mesa, New Mexico, during the hottest week of September. The ceiling fans pushed warm air in slow circles. Dust clung to the window screens. On the back benches, ranchers waited for foreclosed grazing parcels and joked about which banker would end up owning what. When Lot 17 appeared on the projector, the room lost interest. 320 acres. Unimproved, no registered well, severe sodium contamination, no agricultural history since 1961, county reserve price, $1,800 in unpaid taxes. The auction clerk, Bonnie Vale, read the description twice, then looked over her glasses. "Do I hear 1,800? Silence." A man near the aisle whispered, "You'd have to pay me 1,800 to stand on it." A few people laughed. Eli sat in the fourth row with a cashier's check folded inside his shirt pocket. He was 39, broad through the shoulders, with burned forearms and permanent black crescents under his fingernails. For 15 years he had repaired pumps, pivots, valves, and diesel engines for farms that could afford to replace anything, except the man who knew how it worked. He and his wife, Mara, lived in a rented adobe house behind an auto parts store. They had saved for 7 years to buy a small home of their own. The check in Eli's pocket was that money. Bonnie sighed. "Any bid at all?" Eli raised his hand. 1,800. The laughter came before Bonnie could answer. Cal Danner, vice president of Mesa First Bank, turned in his seat. His belt buckle was polished. His smile was not. "Ellie, that land isn't cheap," Cal said. "It's worthless. There's a difference." Eli kept his eyes on the front. Bonnie lifted the gavel. "Sold." When Eli stepped outside, the sunlight hit him like a furnace door. Mara waited beside their dented service truck. She saw the envelope in his hand and went still. "You bought it. I bought it. All of it. All 320. She closed her eyes for a moment. "That was the house fund. I know." Mara looked past him toward the desert hills. "Tell me you found more than hope." Eli opened the passenger door, reached behind the seat, and pulled out a plastic folder. Inside were copies of survey notes from 1948 when a railroad company had considered laying a maintenance spur across the basin. Most pages recorded useless details. Caliche depth, slope, axle load, summer heat. But one page contained a hand-drawn cross-section and a sentence underlined in red pencil. Fresh seepage encountered at 31 feet beneath volcanic gravel. Flow increases after winter recharge. Surface sodium likely caused by trapped evaporation above impermeable clay lens. The railroad abandoned the route. The county forgot the report existed. Eli did not. He had found it 6 months earlier, while replacing a burned motor at the district archives building. A clerk had let him take discarded engineering boxes home before they were destroyed. Mara read the line again. "You think there's water under it? I think there's moving water under it." "Then why is the land white?" "Because the water never reaches the roots. The rain can't get down. Salt keeps climbing up and dying on the surface." Mara stared at him. "So what did we buy?" Eli looked toward the west, where the salt mirror flashed under the sun. A lid, and I know how to open it." The first strike nearly broke his wrist. Eli drove a sharpened bar into the ground and hit it with a 12-pound sledge. The bar bounced. A clean metallic note rang across the empty basin. The surface was not soil in any useful sense. It was a welded layer of sodium clay and caliche, pale as bone and nearly airless. Eli walked 200 yards, tried again, and got the same result. No insects, no roots, no smell of earth, only heat, glare, and a crust that behaved like poured concrete. For the first time since the auction, doubt reached him. The field was not merely neglected, it was sealed. But a mechanic does not ask whether a machine is angry. He asks where the pressure is trapped. Eli spent the next month building an answer. A commercial deep ripper cost more than $70,000. So he bought a cracked pipeline plow at a salvage auction, cut away its frame, and welded 6 mining shanks beneath a reinforced toolbar made bridge steel. He added old leaf springs behind each shank so the machine could flex instead of snapping when it hit rock. At the rear, he mounted steel tubes that could drop crushed gypsum and charcoal directly into the fractures while the ground was still open. Mara called it a farm implement. Eli called it the zipper. To pull it, he rebuilt a retired cable-laying tractor from a utility yard. Its cab had no glass. Its transmission leaked. The engine had 2 dead cylinders and a starter that worked only when struck with a wrench. For 6 weeks, Eli repaired customers' pumps during the day and worked beneath floodlights at night. The neighbors heard grinding until 2 in the morning. They also heard the jokes. At Laura's diner, people asked whether he planned to harvest salt. Cal Danner offered to rescue him for $900. A feed store owner taped a hand-lettered sign above the register. Mercer Farms. Now selling premium dust. Eli read it, bought welding rods, and left. By November, the zipper was ready. The cable tractor rolled onto the salt mirror at sunrise. Eli lowered the shanks. For several seconds, the machine did not move. The rear tires clawed trenches. Black exhaust folded over the cab. The engine screamed against the load. Then the ground opened, not gently. The white crust lifted in slabs, cracked down the middle, and rolled aside like broken pavement. A dark seam appeared beneath it. Eli looked back once, then drove forward. He ripped the land in long parallel lines, 30 inches deep. Every pass shook bolts loose. Twice the toolbar twisted. One shank tore completely free and buried itself in the clay. But behind the machine, the salt mirror no longer looked like a mirror. It looked wounded. That was the beginning. The next problem was chemistry. Eli could not afford truckloads of commercial soil amendments, so he built relationships nobody else valued. A pecan processor gave him shells it paid to dump. A tree service gave him chipped branches. A nearby dairy let him haul away separated manure fiber. Eli burned the shells and wood in covered trenches, making low-oxygen charcoal. He mixed that biochar with gypsum and composted fiber, then fed it through the zipper's rear tubes during a second pass. The fractures became vertical reservoirs. Rain could enter, air could enter, carbon could stay. Salt, at least in theory, could move downward instead of collecting at the surface. In January, a winter storm dropped 2 inches of rain. For decades, water had pooled across the basin in silver sheets. This time, the water vanished into the ripped rows. Mara stood beside Eli in the cold wind, watching the last puddles sink. "Is that good?" Eli knelt and pushed his fingers into a fracture. The soil beneath the crust was damp. Good would be finding out the railroad engineer was right. And this? This means the lid is leaking. By March, they had $23 left. Eli borrowed against his truck to buy seed. But he did not plant a cash crop. He planted work. Sorghum sudangrass for roots. Daikon radish to punch channels. Salt-tolerant barley to absorb what the first rains brought upward. The field stayed brown for 11 days. On the 12th, a green thread appeared along one ripped seam, then another, then thousands. The plants did not cover the whole basin. They followed the fractures like a map. From the county road, the salt mirror now carried thin green stripes across its white surface. People began slowing down to look. Cal Danner drove out in a spotless pickup and stopped at the fence. "You grew lines," he called. "Congratulations." Eli wiped sweat from his face. "Give it time. Time is what debt charges for." Cal held up a business card. "Mesa First will lend you enough to finish the season. Your truck, your equipment, and the parcel secure it." The interest rate was brutal. The alternative was stopping halfway. Eli signed. That summer, the basin endured 40 consecutive days above 98 degrees. Farms with registered wells pumped day and night. Eli had no well, yet his green rose did not die at dawn. Moisture appeared 6 inches below the surface. At noon, the upper soil dried, but the roots remained cool. The old railroad log had been right. Fresh water was moving through volcanic gravel beneath the clay lens. Eli's fractures had not created an aquifer. They had created contact. The root channels reached down. Moisture rose by capillary pull. The field was drinking from below. The dead land had not lacked water. It had lacked a path. That discovery changed the town's laughter into attention. It also attracted Meridian Resource Group. Their first representative arrived in a pearl gray SUV wearing shoes too clean for Red Mesa. Her name was Sloan Kettering. "Not the hospital," she said quickly, as if she had delivered the line many times. She was Meridian's director of land acquisitions for the Southwest. She walked through the barley, pinched a leaf, and looked at the dark crumb forming around the roots. "Mr. Mercer, you have achieved an unusual result. I fixed drainage. You altered the hydrologic behavior of a distressed parcel." "That's what I said," Sloan smiled. Meridian offered him $140,000. Cash, no inspection, close in 7 days. For a man who had paid $1,800, it was the kind of number designed to end thought. Mara read the offer twice at their kitchen table. It would clear the loan, replace the truck, buy a house, give them their old life back with interest. Eli studied the map attached to the contract. Meridian had highlighted only one section of the parcel, the northern 80 acres, where the railroad's old drilling log placed the strongest underground flow. "They don't want the farm," he said. Mara looked up. "They want the water." The next morning, Eli refused the offer. 3 days later, Mesa First Bank froze his operating line. The official reason was regional drought exposure. The unofficial reason arrived as a whisper from a teller who had known Mara since high school. Meridian had purchased a participation interest in the bank's agricultural portfolio. Cal Danner did not merely know about it. He had arranged it. Eli still had one harvest coming. The barley would not make him rich, but a brewery cooperative had agreed to buy it as transition grain if he could deliver 40 clean tons by the end of the month. That payment would carry the loan through winter. Then 9 nights before harvest, someone opened the discharge gate on Eli's only storage pond. Mara woke first. She heard water where no water should be. By the time they reached the pond, 60,000 gallons had cut a trench through the berm and disappeared across the western flats. The barley cleaning system depended on that water. The pump house door hung open. The padlock lay in the mud, cut cleanly through. Inside, the transfer pump had been filled with sand. Eli pulled the inspection plate and watched a paste of oil and grit slide over his hands. The impeller was destroyed. The shaft was scored. The bearing housing had cracked. A replacement would take 4 weeks. Harvest began in 6 days. Mara stood in the doorway, shaking. "Can you rebuild it? Not that pump. What can you rebuild?" Eli looked past her toward the abandoned municipal water tower 2 miles south of the basin. It had been decommissioned after the town changed systems. The tank was empty, but the standpipe, gravity line, and maintenance pumps were still there. By sunrise, Eli had made 3 phone calls, one to Tomas Velez, a retired well driller, one to June Park, who ran the scrapyard, and one to the Red Mesa volunteer fire chief. The fire chief listened, then said, "That tower belongs to the town. So does every dead pump I've repaired for free after midnight." There was a long pause. "Meet me at the gate in 20 minutes. For 36 hours, the salt mirror became a repair yard. They stripped a diesel pump from an old brush truck. They adapted a 6-inch irrigation manifold from municipal pipe. They used the water tower as a gravity buffer and drew from an emergency allotment the town council approved before Meridian's lawyers could react. The machine they built was ugly, loud, and completely manual. It had no computer. No factory controls, no warranty. At sunset on the second day, Eli opened the main valve. The pipe shuddered, air blasted from the outlet. Then water struck the cleaning trough in a clear, hard stream. The harvest ran. The cooperative took 43 tons. Eli earned enough to make the payment, but Meridian had prepared another move. Cal Danner called him into the bank the following Monday. On the desk sat a demand letter. Mesa First had sold Eli's note to a Meridian subsidiary. The new holder was invoking an acceleration clause, full balance due in 10 business days, $260,000. Eli laughed once, not because it was funny, because the number was too large for fear to hold. "You engineered the loan," Eli said. Cal adjusted his cuff. "I protected the bank. You put a countdown on my land. You should have sold when the offer was generous." Eli left the demand letter on the desk. Outside, the sky had gone copper with dust. He drove to the basin, parked between the green rows, and sat behind the wheel until dark. He had cracked the clay, changed the drainage, found the water, built the crop, saved the harvest, and none of it mattered because someone with cleaner hands controlled the paper. That was the first night Eli considered surrender. Mara found him beside the zipper, one hand resting on the scarred steel frame. "Tell me the truth," she said. "We can't make 260,000 in 10 days. That isn't the truth, that's the number." He looked at her. "The truth is I can fix metal. I can fix pumps. I can fix soil. I don't know how to fix men who buy rules." Mara stepped closer, then stopped trying to beat them at rules. She held out a padded envelope. It had arrived that afternoon from the Southwest Plant Materials Laboratory. Inside was a crop analysis Eli had forgotten he requested months earlier. The lab had tested oil content from a small trial strip of a hardy desert flower he planted along the eastern edge as a pollinator crop, Golden Desert Immortelle. The plant liked alkaline ground. It tolerated drought, and because the salt mirror had never received pesticides, herbicides, or industrial fertilizer, its oil tested exceptionally clean. One line on the report was circled: volatile compound concentration, 2.8 times regional commercial average. Mara tapped the page. "You keep saying the land is worth more than they think. It is. Then prove it before the clock runs out." Eli called the laboratory director. The director called a botanical extraction company in California. The company sent 2 agronomists the next morning. They did not look at the barley. They walked straight to the yellow flowers. They sampled the petals. They tested the water. They studied the soil carbon and the absence of chemical residues. Then they asked Eli a question no banker had asked. "How much of this can you grow?" Eli looked across 320 acres. "As much as the land can carry without killing what I fixed." The company offered a 7-year cultivation agreement, not ownership, not water rights, a crop contract. They would provide seed stock, mobile distillation equipment, and technical support. Eli would control the land, the water, and the growing system. The signing advance was $325,000. It reached the bank on the 9th business day. Cal Danner called before noon. "Where did you get the money?" Eli stood in the pump yard, watching Mara sign the delivery sheet for the distillation unit. From the flowers you said couldn't grow, he paid the note in full. Meridian lost its leverage, but the company did not disappear. For the next 2 years, the salt mirror changed faster than anyone expected. Immortelle spread in disciplined blocks between strips of barley, native grass, and pollinator habitat. The zipper made fewer passes because roots now did much of the work. Organic matter rose, surface salt fell. The soil began holding rain without sealing over. Eli installed monitoring wells to measure the underground flow and limited pumping to recharge levels. The first commercial oil harvest paid more than the land's original county assessment. The second paid for a house on the eastern ridge. By the third, Eli and Mara were clearing close to $900,000 a year after operating costs. They still lived simply. Mara kept the old kitchen table. Eli kept the service truck, though its passenger door required a shoulder to close. He bought one new tractor and paid cash. That was all. The real change happened beyond their fence. During the same years, drought pushed neighboring families toward foreclosure. Meridian approached them with polished contracts and fast money. Eli approached them with soil tests. He bought distressed parcels only when the owners asked him to, then leased them back at cost. He built 3 more zippers in his shop. He trained farmers to fracture sealed clay without destroying the deeper gravel, to place carbon inside the cuts, to plant roots before profit, and to measure recharge before pumping. The method did not turn every acre into gold. Some ground was too shallow. Some water was too salty. Some owners moved too fast and had to start again. But across the county, white scars began carrying green. Meridian's final attack came quietly. The company petitioned the state to designate the underground gravel channel as a strategic regional water source. The language sounded public-minded. The maps told the truth. Every proposed extraction point sat downstream from Meridian-owned land. This time, Eli did not wait for a threat to reach his mailbox. He brought 5 years of monitoring records to the state hearing. Monthly recharge levels, pumping volumes, soil moisture profiles, crop yields, photographs of neighboring farms restored without draining the channel. He did not argue that the water belonged to him because he had found it. He argued that the water survived because he had refused to strip it. The room was full of lawyers. Eli arrived in work boots. When Meridian's hydrologist claimed the basin could support industrial withdrawal, Eli placed 2 jars on the table. One held pale surface crust from the year he bought the land. The other held dark living soil from the same location 5 years later. "This is what happens when water is treated like inventory," he said, touching the white jar. Then he touched the dark one. "And this is what happens when water is given a job before it is given a price." The state denied Meridian's petition, not because Eli told a better story, because his records proved a better system. Afterward, reporters called him a visionary. He disliked the word. Vision had not rebuilt the pump at 3 in the morning. Vision had not welded the zipper. Vision had not measured salt, logged moisture, or waited through 11 empty days for the first green line. Work had done that, so had restraint. At the 5-year mark, Eli and Mara placed the original 320 acres into a conservation trust. No sale to a corporation, no unrestricted pumping, no extraction beyond documented recharge. The land could be farmed, taught from, and passed on. It could not be gutted. On the anniversary of the auction, Eli walked to the center of the old salt mirror. The white glare was gone. Immortelle flowers moved in the evening wind, yellow against dark soil. Bees worked the rows. A monitoring pipe clicked softly as water moved beneath the gravel. Mara joined him carrying the old cashier's check stub. $1,800, their entire house fund. The most reckless piece of paper they had ever signed. "Do you ever think they were right?" she asked. About what? That buying this place was foolish. Eli looked toward the ridge, the pump yard, the neighboring green fields, and the steel zipper resting beside the shop. Then he pressed one boot into soil that had once rung like metal. They were right about the land. Mara waited. It was dead. They were wrong about what dead means. Because dead soil is not empty. Sometimes it is only sealed. And the difference between worthless ground and living ground is not luck. It is the person willing to find where the pressure is trapped and build a path through it.